On a distant planet, far from Earth, called Zira, lived a young alien girl named Lyra. She was different from the others in her tribe. While most aliens of her kind were proud, strong, and fearless, Lyra always felt empty inside. She often stared at the stars, wondering why she did not feel the same joy and warmth as others. The elders in her tribe believed that every being had a soul, a special light that made them alive and happy. But Lyra was sure she did not have one. This belief made her feel lonely and lost. She thought, if I do not have a soul, how can I truly live? How can I feel love or happiness? Her friends tried to cheer her up, but Lyra's heart stayed heavy. One day, while exploring an old, ancient library hidden deep in her tribe's mountain caves, Lyra found a strange book. The book was old and dusty, but when she opened it, she saw pictures and writings about another species, humans from Earth. The book told stories about humans and how they had souls that shined brightly. It said humans were full of emotions like love, hope, and dreams. Lyra's eyes sparkled with curiosity. She read more and found a curious idea written in the book. It said that a soul was something that connected all living things, and sometimes souls could be shared or passed on. There was one story that caught her attention, the story of a human baby, born from two beings sharing their souls. Lyra's heart beat faster as she read this. The book suggested that having a human soul was a gift that brought true life and meaning. For the first time, Lyra thought, maybe if I have a human baby, I can get a human soul too. Maybe then I will be complete. The idea was strange, but it gave her hope. Lyra spent days thinking about this new belief. It was not common for aliens to think like this. Most of them trusted only their own ways and powers, but Lyra was not like others. She wanted to find this human soul, to feel real happiness, to belong somewhere. She decided she must meet a human. But how could she? Humans lived on a different planet, far away in the stars. Lyra's tribe had no ships that could reach Earth. And even if they did, humans might be dangerous or unkind. Still, she could not stop thinking about it. The hope of getting a soul and feeling whole was too strong. One night, under the silver moon, Lyra sneaked out from her village. She carried only a small bag with essentials and the old book about humans. Her heart was full of fear and excitement. As she began her journey, she did not know how to reach Earth. But she knew she must try. Lyra traveled through forests and mountains, using the stars to guide her after many days. She reached an abandoned space station near the edge of her planet. The station was old, but inside she found a small spaceship. Lyra carefully learned to use the controls from the ship's manual. It was difficult, and she made many mistakes, but her determination was stronger than her fear. Finally, she set the ship's course for Earth. As the spaceship left Zyra's atmosphere, Lyra looked back at her home. She felt a mix of sadness and hope. She was leaving everything she knew behind. Her belief in the human soul was the only thing pushing her forward. Days passed as the ship traveled through the vast space. Lyra was amazed by the beauty of stars, planets, and galaxies she saw, yet she also felt lonely and scared. What if humans did not want to help her? She never found a human baby? But Lyra told herself, I must be brave. This is my chance to find the soul I am missing. Finally, Earth came into view. The blue and green planet looked beautiful from space. Full of life and mystery, Lyra's hands trembled as she prepared to land. She chose a quiet forest area on Earth's edge to avoid being seen by many people. When the spaceship landed softly, she stepped out into the fresh air of a new world. Everything was strange and wonderful. The tall trees, the birds, the smell of Earth. Lyra's heart beat fast, but she smiled. She was here to find the human soul. Her first step was to find a human who could help her. She hid her alien features under a cloak, trying not to attract attention. She walked carefully toward a nearby town, where she hoped to find a kind human. As she entered the town, she saw humans walking, talking, and living their lives. Lyra watched quietly. Learning their ways, she noticed a man sitting alone on a bench in a park. Reading a book, he looked kind and gentle, different from the busy crowd around him. Lyra felt a strange pull toward him, as if he could understand her. She took a deep breath and approached him slowly. The man looked up and smiled warmly, surprised to see someone new. Lyra spoke softly. "Hello. I am Lyra. I come from far away, from a different world." The man blinked in shock, but did not move away. "My name is John. How can I help you?" he asked kindly. Lyra's heart raced as she explained her strange belief. "I believe that having a human baby will give me a human soul. Please help me." John listened carefully. Confused but curious, he asked questions about her world, her tribe, and her feelings. Lyra shared her loneliness and desire to belong. John could see the truth in her eyes, and something inside him softened. He said, "I will try to help you, Lyra, but this will not be easy. Together." They started a new journey, full of hope and fear. The story of an alien girl who believed in a human soul was just beginning. What would happen next? Would Lyra find what she was looking for? Only time would tell. Lyra stood quietly at the edge of the small town, watching people pass by. Everything felt so new and strange to her. The trees looked different from the ones on her planet, and the sounds of birds and cars filled the air. Her heart beat fast, but she held her cloak tightly around her, trying to hide her unusual alien features. She knew she had to be careful. Humans might be scared or angry if they saw her true form. She thought about the story she had read in the ancient book back on Zyra, the story about humans and their souls. It gave her hope. But now, standing here, she wondered if she could really trust these humans. Could any of them help her find a human baby? Could anyone understand her strange belief? She took a deep breath and started walking toward the town center. Shops were open, and people smiled and talked to each other. Lyra noticed a small cafe with warm light inside. She stepped in quietly, her eyes adjusting to the new place. Behind the counter stood a young man, maybe in his late 20s. He was tall, with dark hair and kind eyes. His name tag said John. Lyra watched him carefully. He was friendly to customers, laughing and helping them. She felt a strange pull toward him as if he might be the one to understand her. After the cafe quieted down, Lyra walked up to the counter. Her voice was soft and nervous. "Hello," she said. "I am Lyra. I come from far away, from another world." John blinked in surprise. He'd never seen anyone like her before. But there was something in her eyes, fear, mixed with hope, that made him listen. "Hello, Lyra," he replied carefully. "What brings you here?" Lyra hesitated, then told him a little about her home planet Zyra, and how she felt empty inside because she thought she did not have a soul. She explained her strange belief that having a human baby could give her a human soul, and that's why she had traveled all this way. John looked confused, but also curious. "You believe a baby can give you a soul?" he asked. "Yes," Lyra said. "Earnestly, on my planet, people have souls, but I feel lost. This book I found says humans have strong souls filled with love and life. I want to have that too." John thought for a moment. He was a scientist and had studied many things, including space and alien life. But this was the first time someone had come to him with such a request. Still, he could see that Lyra was sincere and honest. "All right," he said softly. "I will help you as much as I can." Lyra felt a small hope growing inside her. Maybe, just maybe, this human was different. Over the next few days, John introduced Lyra to Earth's life. He taught her about human customs, how to blend in, and how to stay safe. Lyra was a fast learner. She laughed at the funny ways humans used their hands when they talked and tried different foods. Though some tasted strange, John took her to his home, a small but cozy place filled with books, plants, and pictures of his family. Lyra was amazed by the warmth she felt there. It was different from her cold, distant home. But even as they grew closer, Lyra knew her mission was not easy. She needed to find a way to have a human baby, but she was not sure how. She was an alien, after all. John understood her worries. "Lyra," he said one evening as they sat under the stars, "you are special. But bringing a new life into the world is a big responsibility, and it is not just about science. It is about trust, love, and respect." Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide. "I won't understand," she whispered. John smiled gently. "Then we will figure it out together." However, the outside world was not as kind. Some people began to notice Lyra's strange appearance and whispered rumors. Not everyone was ready to accept an alien among them. One day, while walking in the market, Lyra heard harsh voices. "Look, that alien should not be here," a man shouted. People stared and some moved away quickly. Lyra felt her heart break. She had left her home to find a soul, but here she was, rejected again. John stood beside her, firm and protective. "People fear what they don't understand," he told her quietly. "But I will stand with you." This gave Lyra strength. She realized that finding a human soul was not just about biology, it was about breaking walls between two very different worlds. As days passed, John and Lyra spent more time together, sharing stories of their worlds. John told her about humans' joys and pains, hopes and fears. Lyra shared tales of her planet's ancient traditions and mysteries. One night, Lyra looked at John with a soft smile. "I think I am beginning to understand what a soul means," she said. "It is not just a light inside us. It is what connects us. What makes us care for others." John nodded. "Yes, and it grows with every kind act, every love shared." Lyra's hope grew stronger, but so did the challenges. How would she fulfill her mission? How would she truly become whole? Could an alien and a human bridge the gap between their worlds? Only time would tell, but Lyra was ready to try. The days grew longer, and the town sun warmed the streets. Lyra's path became harder, though she had found John's kindness. The world outside still felt cold and suspicious. People whispered behind her back, their eyes full of fear. And doubt to them, she was an unknown being, an alien whose presence challenged everything they believed. Lyra sensed the tension, and her heart tightened like a trapped bird's wings. She wanted to explain, to tell them her story, but words seemed useless against their fear. One afternoon, as Lyra and John walked through a busy market, a group of men blocked their way. Their faces were hard and unkind, eyes filled with anger and distrust. "What is she doing here?" One of the men shouted, "This isn't her world." John stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "She is my friend. She means no harm." The men laughed. "Friend? You trust an alien? You don't know what she is capable of?" Lyra looked down, pain burning in her chest. But John held her hand tightly, giving her strength. This was not just about strangers' fear. It was about trust. The most difficult thing to earn. Lyra knew that to succeed, she had to show them she was not a threat, but that was easier said than done. She decided to visit the town council to ask for their permission to stay. Her heart pounded as she entered the building, facing cold stares from the officials. A tall woman with sharp eyes spoke. "Why should we allow an alien here? What does she want from us?" Lyra spoke softly but clearly. "I seek only to find a soul, a part of life I lack. I want to live in peace and learn from you," the council murmured, unsure if her words were truth or trick. John stood by her side. "Lyra is honest. I have known her for weeks. She has no evil intent." Still, the council was not convinced. "We must protect our people," they said. "We cannot risk unknown dangers." Lyra bowed her head, but inside she vowed not to give up that night. John and Lyra sat by a small fire outside his home. Lyra's eyes were wet with tears. "Why do they fear me so much? I came for hope, but all I find is doubt." John looked at her. "Fear is a shadow that hides the truth. You must be patient and show them who you really are." He shared stories of humans' own struggles with outsiders and how trust was built slowly. Lyra listened, learning that her journey was not only about finding a soul, but also about breaking barriers. Days turned to weeks, and John helped Lyra meet more people scientists, doctors, and kind neighbors. Some were curious and warm, others still held their distance. One doctor, a woman named Maya, offered to help Lyra understand human biology. Maya's gentle care made Lyra feel safe, and she slowly opened her heart to trust these strangers. But even among friends, Lyra felt different. Her alien body reacted strangely to Earth's environment, sometimes making her weak or sick. John stayed by her side, using his knowledge and love to care for her, together. They explored how life was more than just biology, it was connection, care, and sacrifice. Yet not all challenges came from outside. Sometimes, doubt crept into Lyra's own mind. Am I worthy of their trust? Can I ever belong here? She wondered silently. John noticed her sadness and said, Lyra, you are more human than you think, because you seek love and understanding. This comforted her, but she knew the road ahead was still long one evening. A crisis struck the town. A sudden illness spread quickly. Causing fear and panic, the humans were unsure how to handle it, and many turned to John for answers. John knew that Lyra's alien biology might hold clues to a cure. He asked Lyra to help. Even though it was risky, Lyra agreed. Understanding this was her chance to prove her worth and gain trust. Together, they worked day and night, mixing Earth medicine with alien knowledge. Slowly, the cure began to work, saving many lives. The town's fear began to turn into gratitude. People started to see Lyra not as a stranger, but as a friend. But even as trust grew, dangers remained. Some powerful groups wanted to capture Lyra for their own gain. John warned her to stay careful, but Lyra was determined to face whatever came. I will not hide, she said boldly. If I am to have a soul, I must be brave and true. Her courage inspired John and many others. She became a symbol of hope, a bridge between two worlds, yet deep inside. Lyra still dreamed of the day. She would hold a human baby that day when she would finally feel whole. The challenge of trust was just the beginning. More obstacles and discoveries awaited her, but Lyra was ready, because she had found something more than a soul she had. Found friendship, courage, and love. The sun rose slowly over the quiet town, spilling golden light on the streets where Lyra and John had started to build their fragile world together. Days had passed since the illness that shook the town, and though many feared aliens before, now some looked at Lyra with new eyes, eyes of curiosity and hope. John and Lyra spent long hours talking and learning from each other. Sharing stories of their very different lives, John told Lyra about Earth, its beauty, its struggles, its people who could be kind or cruel. Lyra spoke of Zira, the cold planet she once called home, where souls were said to glow, but hers felt missing in the warmth of John's home. Surrounded by books and soft light, Lyra began to feel something new. It was a strange feeling, unlike anything she had known before. Her heart fluttered when John smiled. Her thoughts grew restless when he was near. She wondered if this was the human soul she had been searching for, or something even more powerful. One evening, as they watched stars flicker through the window, John reached out and gently held Lyra's hand. For a moment, time seemed to freeze, and Lyra's fears melted away. John looked into her eyes and said softly, "You are not alone anymore, Lyra." Lyra's breath caught. "Different," she whispered. "Like a light has started inside me." John smiled. "Maybe that is the soul you were searching for, the one that grows." With connection and love, Lyra's eyes glistened with tears. She had never felt so seen, so understood. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, but it was not without challenges. The outside world was still wary, and the town's council reminded John that Lyra's presence was a risk. John argued for her, but knew they had to be careful. Meanwhile, Lyra struggled with her own identity, torn between two worlds. Her alien body was changing, subtle shifts that confused her and frightened her. Sometimes she would wake up feeling weak, or her skin shimmered with strange colors. John worked tirelessly to understand these changes, combining his human science with Lyra's alien biology. One day, John found an old legend in Lyra's book that spoke of a rare bond, a deep connection between a human and an alien that could awaken hidden powers. He wondered if their growing friendship had sparked something ancient and powerful within. Lyra felt that too, a power rising inside, making her stronger, but also more vulnerable. She feared what this change meant for her mission and for John. Could she still have a human baby if her body was no longer fully alien or fully human? One afternoon, while walking through the forest, John noticed Lyra pause suddenly, her eyes fixed on a small injured bird. Without hesitation, Lyra knelt and gently picked it up. her hands glowing faintly as she healed the bird's broken wing. John watched in amazement. "Your powers. They're incredible," he said. "You are more special than I thought." Lyra smiled softly. "Maybe this is part of who I am, not just an alien or human, but something new." Their friendship deepened into something. Neither fully understood yet, a connection that crossed species and stars. John found himself thinking about Lyra, even when they were apart. Lyra dreamed of a future where she and John would walk together, raising a family that blended their worlds. But reality reminded them that this was still a fragile dream. The town was peaceful for now, but whispers of fear and suspicion lingered in dark corners. One evening a visitor arrived, a man dressed in a sharp suit, eyes cold and calculating. He introduced himself as a government official, there to evaluate Lyra's presence. John knew this visit could change everything. The official questioned Lyra with sharp words, testing her story, her intentions, her biology. Lyra answered honestly, her voice steady but calm. John stood by her side, ready to defend her with all he had. After hours of questions, the official warned John, "You are taking a great risk. Keep her under control, or there will be consequences." John's heart pounded. He realized their peaceful days were numbered, but Lyra surprised him. Instead of fear, she showed strength and courage. "I am not your enemy," she said firmly. "I only want to live, to belong, to find my soul." The official left with a warning, but John and Lyra knew this was just the beginning. They returned home, their bond even stronger after facing the threat together. That night, under the vast sky, John held Lyra close. "Whatever comes," he whispered, "we will face it together." Lyra nodded, feeling the warmth of his promise. Her heart was full of hope, love, and the belief that maybe, just maybe, she had found the soul she had been seeking all along. The cool morning air filled John's small lab as he and Lyra prepared for another day of searching for answers. They sat across from each other, surrounded by glowing machines, strange plants, and books from two worlds. Lyra's body still shimmered, faintly with the changes that were slowly taking hold. John studied her carefully, mixing human science with his growing understanding of alien biology. "Close," John said with quiet hope, "but it's not going to be easy." Lyra nodded, her eyes steady. "I want to try. I have to." Their goal was simple in words, but complicated in reality, to find a way for Lyra to carry a human baby that could give her the soul she longed for. But Earth and Zyra were different worlds, and so were their bodies. John explained how human reproduction was a complex dance of cells and hormones. Lyra's alien biology did not always respond the way it should. They tried many experiments, testing and adjusting. Sometimes the machines beeped with success, only to fail moments later. Lyra's body grew tired, her skin pulsing with strange lights. John worried. "You're pushing yourself too hard," he said softly. "We need to be careful." But Lyra refused to stop. "This is my chance to find what I'm missing," she said with fierce determination. One day, as they worked late into the night, a sudden warning alarm flashed on the screen. John's face went pale. "Lyra, your vitals are unstable." She felt a sharp pain in her chest, but smiled weakly. "I'm okay," she whispered. "Don't give up on me." John gently held her hand, fear rising in his heart. He knew their mission was dangerous, but believed in Lyra's strength. Together they found small victories, moments when Lyra's body accepted the changes. Yet each success was followed by setbacks. One evening, as Lyra rested, John found a hidden message in the ancient book she had brought from Zyra. It spoke of a sacred ritual, a ceremony that connected soul and body in a deep way. John wondered if this ritual could help Lyra's body accept the human life inside her. He shared his idea with Lyra, who agreed to try anything that might bring her closer to her goal. They prepared carefully, mixing Earth science with the ancient traditions of Zyra. The ritual was strange but beautiful: soft lights, whispered words, and the joining of two worlds in one moment. Lyra felt warmth spread through her, and for a brief time, she believed the impossible was possible. But the ritual also opened a door to unknown powers. Lyra's body glowed brighter than ever before, and her mind filled with strange visions. She saw flashes of the future, a child growing between two worlds, a family that could change everything. But she also saw danger, those who would. Try to stop her? John held her close, whispering, "We will protect you no matter what." Their bond was stronger than ever, but so was the risk. The town's whispers grew louder again, fueled by fear and suspicion. Some wanted to help, others wanted Lyra gone. John knew they had to move carefully, balancing hope with caution. Lyra's dreams of a human baby felt closer, but also more fragile. One night, Lyra woke suddenly, feeling her body change in a new way. She gasped as waves of warmth and power flowed through her. John rushed to her side, amazed and worried. "This is it?" he said softly. "The beginning of something new?" Lyra smiled through the pain. "My soul. It feels alive," but as dawn broke, they both knew their journey was far from over. The trial and error had brought them to the edge of a new world, a world where science and magic, alien and human, would collide, and where Lyra's hope for a soul was about to face its greatest test. The weeks passed like whispers on the wind, soft but full of change. Lyra felt a deep stirring inside her, a new life growing where before there was only hope and fear. She was both scared and filled with wonder, unsure what this would mean for her, for John, for their future. John watched her carefully every day, his scientist's mind trying to understand, his heart quietly hoping. The day finally came when Lyra knew something had changed forever. She was no longer alone. Her body was different now, not just alien, not just human, but something in between. She held John's hand tightly as they sat together in the quiet room. "My child," she whispered. "It is real," John smiled, eyes shining with joy and relief. "Yes, it is." But as days went on, they realized this child was no ordinary baby. It carried both worlds within a soul, woven from alien light and human warmth. Lyra's body glowed softly with life, and strange energies pulsed quietly. The townspeople who had once feared her now watched with awe and curiosity. Some whispered that this child was a miracle, a bridge between worlds, but others still feared the unknown. Unsure what this meant for their future, Lyra struggled with her new reality, unsure if she could protect her child in a world still filled with fear. John promised to stand by her side, to defend their family with all his strength. One night, as Lyra rested, she dreamed of her home planet Zyra. She saw the cold mountains and familiar faces, but they were no longer distant. They reached out to her, welcoming the new life she carried. She realized that her mission was not just about finding a soul, but about creating a new beginning, a life that could unite two worlds once thought forever apart. John and Lyra worked together to prepare for the child's arrival, blending human medicine and alien traditions. They built a small nursery filled with soft light and warmth, symbols of both their cultures. But as the day approached, they faced new challenges. Strange forces stirred in the shadows, those who saw the child as a threat. One evening, unknown to Lyra and John, a group of agents moved quietly through the town. Their orders were clear: capture the child, study it, and decide its fate. John sensed danger but could not yet stop it. Lyra felt a deep instinct to protect her unborn child, a fierce power rising inside her. The bond between mother and child was stronger than anything she had known. On a cold night, Lyra went into labor. Pain and hope mixed in every breath. John held her hand, whispering words of comfort and love. The stars outside shone brighter as new life came into the world. A baby with skin that shimmered softly, eyes full of both human kindness and alien wisdom, Lyra cried, tears of joy and relief, feeling her soul finally whole. But the moment was fragile outside. Shadows moved closer. John whispered, "We must protect our family." "This child is the future." Lyra nodded, knowing their journey was just beginning. The unexpected result was more than a child. It was a symbol, a promise, a new hope, a soul born from two worlds, ready to change everything. The morning sun filtered gently through the curtains, casting soft light across the small room where Lyra and John watched their child sleep peacefully. The air was filled with quiet hope, and a sense of calm that had not been there before. Their journey had been long and difficult, filled with fear, struggle, and uncertainty. But now, as they looked at the child, a living symbol of two worlds, they felt a new beginning was possible. Lyra's heart swelled with love and pride, emotions she had never fully understood until now. She gently brushed a strand of hair from the child's face, her eyes shining with tears. John sat beside her, his hand resting on hers. Sharing the moment silently, the town around them had changed too. Slowly opening to the idea that humans and aliens could live together, the fear and suspicion had not vanished entirely. But it had softened, replaced by curiosity and cautious acceptance. Neighbors brought food and gifts. Some came to meet the child, whispering words of awe and wonder. The council, once firm against Lyra's presence, now faced pressure to change their minds. John spoke at meetings, telling the story of Lyra's courage and the child's significance. He argued that this was not just about one family, but about the future of both species. Lyra listened, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also a deep hope. She knew their child was a bridge, not just between human and alien, but between fear and understanding. One afternoon, Lyra and John walked through the town square, the child safe in Lyra's arms. People stopped to smile or nod, some still wary, but many curious and kind. A young girl approached shyly. "Is your baby really from two worlds?" she asked, eyes wide. Lyra smiled. "Yes, and she is full of love from both." The girl smiled back, her fear replaced by wonder. But not everyone was ready to accept change. A small group of protesters gathered on the outskirts, their voices loud with fear and anger. John and Lyra knew this was only the beginning of a larger struggle, yet they were no longer alone. Their bond, their family, had inspired others to hope, to dream of peace. Lyra thought of Zyra, her cold home planet, and knew she had brought something new there too. Her people would one day hear of this child, this new soul, and maybe understand the power of unity. At night, as she rocked the child to sleep, Lyra whispered promises of love and protection. John sat nearby, planning ways to keep their family safe and strong. Together, they dreamed of a future where humans and aliens lived side by side, where differences were celebrated, not feared, where a child born from two worlds could grow without hate or danger. The new beginning was fragile, but it was real, and it was theirs.